Welcome to Town Talk, the official podcast of Summerville, South Carolina, where we bring you the latest news and incredible guests here in Summerville. And today, I am excited to welcome back Chief Wright. How you doing today, Chief?
I don't know if I'm an incredible guest.
Oh, come on now.
I'm doing well.
So it's been a while. I think it's been about a year since you've been on.
I think the first one we launched it.
Yeah. So you're actually the first in our newer setup. You know, we keep adjusting
this last.
Hey, we got our fan base here.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm really excited to have you back. I'm excited to talk about exciting initiatives that have taken place this year in 2024 for the police department and what to look forward to for the rest of the year and then going into 2025. But before we dig in, I see you got the pink badge on.
I do. I didn't wear my pink undershirt today.
No, but you got the pink bracelet though.
Yeah, I do. I've got it going on, man.
Yeah, I like it.
Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So obviously, every October, law enforcement from around the area here, around the country, actually, we come together, obviously, to show solidarity in the fight against breast cancer. Obviously, it's a leading cause of death of men and women, and that's breast cancer. So we just we work closely with the American Cancer Society and Real Men Wear Pink. And so we're coming to the end of this, and we'll be going into November. We're always working on different types of avenues to help raise money, and we just help raise money for Real Men Wear Pink with the American Cancer Society. And then next month we'll be diving into No Shave November, which I can't stand because it's a great cause, but I hate beards in uniform. But I allow it for morale purposes.
I might shave this.
You won't see me with a beard. But anyway,
no?
No.
What about mustache?
No. I'm not a firefighter. We're going to our cause for November for Real Men. For No Shave November is going to be Doors to Freedom, which is a nonprofit organization that's here in Charleston and Summerville. And basically what they do is they help take care of young women who have been victims of human trafficking. And so they help get them back on their feet and whatnot. So we're going to be taking what money our officers raise to allow them to wear the beards. Mm-hmm. And we're going to obviously be giving that money to that cause. So
that's fantastic. So these are, these causes are unique because it's allowing you and the police department to really not only get back to great causes in the community, but to get involved and kind of better use of terms to let your hair down, right? So
I wouldn't know what that was.
Yeah, no. So you can't, you don't even grow a mustache or anything.
No, I'm a Marine. No,
I guess that makes sense.
Not my thing.
So I'm sorry about the beard. Next episode, you're going to see me clean shaven.
Yeah, right.
No. So speaking of those initiatives, those are really exciting. So that's the pink badge, and then who's our officer? That's the Real Men Wear Pink.
So it's Harold Robinson. He's one of our captains, and he is an ambassador for Real Men Wear Pink. And so he's been selling raffle tickets, and the winner, which the money goes to the great cause, but the winner I think wins a golf cart this year, which is pretty cool.
A golf cart.
Yeah.
Oh.
And we don't have enough of them in Summerville, so I guess somebody needs a winner.
Is it pink?
I would assume it is. I've not seen it, but I haven't seen it.
So I know the community, and I remember having this question when I first joined the team, but the community has seen the pink, the patrol car around town. What's the story behind that?
Yeah, so when I was appointed in 2021, we had already had a veterans car, and we're not going to go create a car for a theme for every cause there is, but we felt like it's gone pretty viral in law enforcement, the whole pink, Real Men Wear Pink idea and whatnot, and a lot of guys and gals have spawned the pink badges, and we had pink bow magnets on our cars for the month, but we ended up, I just did the markings, had them create the markings and design the same as our normal police car, but with pink in it. And one of our young ladies, officers drives that car, so
I love that. It's so cool. I like seeing it around town, and I think the community does too. I know Town Hall just took a picture with it last week, so
cool.
We were celebrating pink. So I really love that. So going back into 2024, the police department ran a ton of incredible initiatives, from teaming up with Coastal Coffee to a ton of different other events that you guys have done. Can you just give me a little recap of what
Sure.
y'all have been up to in 2024?
Well, we're busy. I think we have always, at least in the past 5 or so years, have taken the lead as one of the leading agencies, not just in the Low Country, but in the state, to conduct a lot of community-based events with our police officers. And, some of the stuff we've done, obviously, is teaming up with different organizations in town. Obviously, the Bike or Walk initiative here in Somerville for bike safety and pedestrian safety, as well as the Palmetto Artisans Group out of Charleston with the extension here. A lot of great things going on. We're always in the community doing things, and we're coming up on Christmas and Thanksgiving, so we always do our turkey instead of a ticket campaign, and
which you should be looking out for.
But that's a fun one.
We're not giving the date away, so
right.
Don't
we don't want you breaking laws, but but then we just got done with Trunk or Treat this past weekend.
That's right.
We had a lot of police officers at different Trunk or Treat events around town, and then Christmas outreach is something we're very heavy in, and we have our own program here. And obviously, Toys for Tots has a great program, and it's very successful with the Marine Corps Reserves. But this is not a part of that. We actually did something a little bit different. We wanted to have a program that catered exclusively to students here, or children who are students in DD2 here in the Somerville town area. And we help identify those children and their needs through guidance counselors and teachers and the SROs. It's a constant battle in public safety to keep up with the Joneses.
Why is that?
I think in 2020 we saw the George Floyd.
And sorry to interrupt, but this is nationwide. This isn't just Somerville.
And I'm going to talk on the macro and the micro. 2020, George Floyd, COVID. We saw riots in the streets. We saw police officers, EMS workers, and firemen. They were essential workers, nurses, and we were all out in the middle of it, getting sick, dying. There was an extreme revolt in the profession, and not just law enforcement, public safety, of people leaving the profession for the private sector. And so we saw we were pretty lucky here at Somerville, because I think we have a wonderful culture to work with, and I think that's what keeps a lot of our officers here, despite knowing that they can go somewhere else and make more money just down the street. It used to be the flashy things like, I can give you a new car. That's not what they want. They want more money. And so we fought really hard with the previous council, with the current council, previous town administrators, and now the new town administrator, Mr. Slatton, and we have achieved some milestones here for the town to help pay our police officers and public safety in a better fashion, but it's not enough. We've worked hard to get where we are, and unfortunately, once you get to a certain place, other agencies around, they all go up. And so some of them are so gutted with law enforcement officers that they have to pay very high stipends, or they chose to pay very high stipends or bonuses to recruit people that are qualified to come in. We haven't had too much of a problem with our recruitment. We actually do very well there. But when I have an agency that's a fraction of our size that can pay $8,000 to $10,000 to $15,000 more dollars, it's a very enticing, look. But on the same token, our police officers love the other police officers who work here. They love the culture we have. They love that they work in a town.
Family oriented.
Very family oriented. They work in a town that people love and respect us. And it is just unrivaled, where I can go somewhere and literally every single person walking down the street, thank you for your service. And it is somewhat of a shock and awe effect for police officers who've come from other local agencies and probably a harder neighborhood that they worked in or whatnot, and they've come here and it's a breath of fresh air. So kudos to the public for loving on us. We appreciate that. We're not firemen. We don't have calendars with our shirts off, and I always dig on my firemen, but they're our brothers and sisters, and but we see people on their worst day. So when law enforcement's at your house, it's not really somebody that you want to see at your door. But going back to the pay, we're working hard to incentivize different things. We changed our pay scale to be much more enticing for police officers, especially seasoned police officers, to work here. But we're also working on perks and benefits that will keep people here for the long haul, for longevity, right? So some of that stuff's been happening behind the scenes with HR, council, obviously the recruitment and retention committee that is going to be stood back up under Mr. Slatton. But I'm just excited, man. I mean, as tough as times could be, we're relentless in our profession. We're always going to have this problem to the end of time. We'll have this conversation again with the new chief in 10 years when you're not here and I'm not here. Hopefully you're on the bigger, better things. Because you're still young.
Hey, I love me Somerville, though. I love me Somerville.
But anyway,
no, I think with Mr. Slatton in his office now and in the seat of his town administrator and then our council, they do seem to be really receptive and really have a lot of love and passion for the public safety, hence why they were voted in, right? Mm-hmm. Because our community does really back our public safety. We have a family-oriented community. I say that all the time on this podcast, and so part of that is feeling safe. And so they love y'all, right? And you all love them. So it's that that connection.
It is. I think in knowing this too, a lot of the lower level employees, I say there are street soldiers. They're the ones that are out there pounding pavement, that are answering all these calls, back to back, handling crashes, robberies, murders, whatnot, staying out late, working off duty just to pay your bills. They appreciate council and everybody liking and loving on them.
Yeah.
But they also want to see it in the form of money. And so that is something that we really have to continue to push for. And I know you can't squeeze blood out of a turnip, but there's money and different, avenues that can be and continue to be looked at to hopefully be able to incentivize people to stay and to want to stay here their full retirement. So
yeah, it's important. I mean, keeping people around and keeping the same people and building that longevity is important for from local government to businesses as in the private sector, right? You always want to keep people around. So I think it's really encouraging. I think the community is going to be really encouraged to hear your commitment to that and that you're looking out for our men and women in uniform. And so that's awesome. I appreciate you for that.
Our police force is second to none. I mean, we really are amazing. We've had a lot of crime this year, but we've had an unheard of amount of violent crime that we have done a very good job. It's not for a lack of our policing. We've been very proactive in our policing. In fact, the most proactive we've ever been. And but we have solved all of our homicides. We have closed very serious cases, and our team just works really well together. And it's a great cohesive unit. And so I'm excited where we're going, and I am optimistic.
Absolutely. And you brought up, there was crime this year. I mean, there's crime every year, but this year we saw an uptick of crime that is, I would say, is a little unusual. But as a public safety entity, you guys have jumped on and solved all your homicide cases, right? Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about this past year when it comes to the crime that y'all face and what that did for y'all and how y'all grew from that?
Yeah, so we are a very tranquil, very safe town. I mean, it is amazing. It's clean. The schools, I always brag about it, right?
It's true. It's true.
There's going to be problems. You're going to have riffraff. You're going to have bandits that are going to come to your town, and I would say most of the people that were recidivizing or committing crimes in the town did not live here, both even victims. So again, people are traveling through our community. They don't live here. They don't pay our taxes. but that's who we're policing. And we talk about this all the time.
Your visitors, you still police,
yeah, absolutely. And you got to think we probably have 52 to 54,000 people that live here, reside here, and pay taxes. We have 250,000 people that come through our town a day to shop. They drive through, they get gas, and
that's a lot of people.
Well, you got to talk about it. You got the school, Somerville High School. You know, it's a city within the town. Literally, it's a safety zone. It's one of the number one places we have to keep safe. The safest is to have these schools, you know, provided with security. So it's a daunting task. And I'm gonna tell you, they just do a wonderful job working with DD2 and the school safety team that they have there, and the administration to help keep the school safe. And that's what people want. They want to know that when they go to bed after they've worked all night, that their child is safe at school, or when they're off at work while their child is at school, that their safe haven is being protected. Their child is being safe and held, you know, protected. So there's this. It's a tremendous undertaking to provide public safety here. Our fire department runs a lot of calls. We run a lot of calls with them. Traffic is unbearable. It's sad to say, but that's one of our biggest problems.
And I think the community and I appreciate your transparency on that, because it's true.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I know our leadership is working hard to mitigate that.
This goes back leaders from years past, that, and I'm not going to say narrow-mindedness, but just I think not looking at holistically looking at the big picture of infrastructure, and now we're feeling the grind of that, the congestion, the wait times. The sitting at red, you know, getting up to the red light and it turns red again, and
that's the one that gets me.
And the obviously the car crashes, the broke down cars that block traffic, and so that's why we have so many motorcycles. Our police department
can fit through traffic.
They can meander through you know, congestion and get the traffic collision moved to the side so we can open that flow of traffic up. But then there's many times where there's a lot of debris or fluid on the deck, and the fire department's here, and we have to shut down part of the road, which brings a lot of frustration to drivers. But we have to make sure that our people who are in the crashes are safe, the scene is safe, and that the police officers, firefighters, and EMS workers are safe, and tow drivers too. So.
Yeah. And so one of the things, I asked this question to the fire department the other day. I was over there, but I have this question for you. So with the traffic and the issue with traffic, how frustrating is that for you and your team when you guys have to get to a emergency or to a location, and maybe some people don't know what to do, and when they see a police officer coming up behind them with their lights?
I can tell you the frustration the police officers have is literally the most calls for service we have is up in the north side of town at the box stores.
Where like Target, Walmart.
Yeah. And so we literally can be over by the railroad tracks here in the middle of town, and it could take 20 to 30 minutes to navigate just to get up there and meander through the parking lot and get to the call. And then there's another call that's right back down here. So literally to travel several miles, a few miles, it could take a long time in the middle of the daytime. Nighttime, no problem. But, you know, it's the same going on the south end of town in the Oak Brook area on Dorchester Road. And, you know, obviously people do a pretty good job of yielding the right of way to our emergency vehicles, but we don't run hot to most of our calls. It has to meet a certain criteria for us to run hot with blue lights and sirens or code response. So a lot of times we're trying to get to the call, but we're not breaking traffic laws. So we're trying to get to the call quickly but safely. So
yeah. So do you have any tips for the community when it comes to, like, say you're on North Main and it's back to back, bumper to bumper, and our officers need to get to a location. It's a hot call.
Do you go to the right? I mean, just yield to the right.
To the right. All right.
I mean, the police cars and motorcycles can navigate a lot easier than the big apparatus and the fire trucks and the EMS trucks. They have to literally, you know, they take up a lot of space.
Yeah.
But they do a really good job of moving for us.
Yeah.
I guess the biggest problem is, you know, we have to make sure our officers are properly trained how to drive. And they do it. We do all that in-house training yearly, annually for emergency vehicle operations and whatnot. So
let's talk about that, because I love y'all's training. I know you and I talk about that a lot off script and off camera, but y'all, the police department and our fire, but our police department, y'all do a lot of great training for our men and women, and I know that's something as a chief and leader that you are huge on. So can you explain your reason? I mean, obviously training's important and valuable, but what made you so big on training when in your upbringing, but also what kind of training do you guys do for your men and women?
Yeah, so training's number one priority for us because that's the highest liability in police work.
Yeah.
Literally, you have your use of force is going to be your top three: use of force, Fourth Amendment, which is obviously search and seizure, and then you have your emergency vehicle operations. So those three things will get a law enforcement agency sued the most. Mm-hmm. And so we have to really put emphasis on not just those three topics, but everything. And so law enforcement is constantly changing and evolving. The one thing about this profession, if you want a change of pace and scenery, basically this is the profession you want to get into because it never is the same thing twice. And a lot of times we will learn how to do something and become proficient in it, and then the law will change. There'll be a court opinion or a decision that's come down that changes the way that we procedurally have to handle something. So that's difficult to
I can imagine.
Yeah. So we have, as many police officers as we have, they all have to go through annual training, both here internally, and then we have a lot of simulcast with our police academy in Columbia where we have to watch legal updates and different things like that.
Is that video training simulcast? That's video training?
Yeah, video training.
Okay.
Web-based on secure network. And, we do that a lot, but just keeping up with all the certifications of every police officer, every dispatcher, keeping up with, their taser recertification. If we got a new taser like we just got, we had to put everybody back through it. New weapons, which we just bought new weapons with red dot sights and lights on them. So we had to put everybody back through training and qualifications. Driving, obviously CPR, tactical med, TAC med. Then we have de-escalation training. We have crisis intervention training, which is for people with mental illness. Autism training for autism awareness. It never ends. So it's always you might have somebody who just really likes one type of training, and unfortunately you're going to get the gamut. They're going to get all kinds of training.
Yeah.
But I put a lot of emphasis on it because I'm a trainer. I came up as a law enforcement trainer, and I've trained police officers all over the country. And so I come back here, and it's always great to bring ideas from other states and cities and bring them back here. But I see a lot of bad things when I'm at other places and I train, and bad habits, bad ways of procedurally doing things.
Yep.
So coming back here after seeing the good and the bad and the ugly, I think we're able to capitalize on that because I'm able to navigate through, and with our training team and command staff, which we have a wonderful training team.
Yeah. You can see the training happen on the field. You can see the amount of training you guys go through, and then social media. You guys do very well at sharing all the training that your men and women go through as well. And so I think it's extremely important. I think the community is also very appreciative of your leadership and how much you put into training. So that's awesome. Now, speaking of that, when it comes to training and all that stuff, is it for your men and women, is there any guidelines when it comes to the training aspect of everything?
Yeah, everything's standardized.
Yeah.
Everything we have policies. Every lesson plan has to be signed off by legal, and also by the Criminal Justice Academy and their legal. We just can't say, you know what, we're going to go we're just going to go conduct a class.
Yeah.
There's a lot of preparation has to go into that, and then obviously what's really hard to navigate is getting everybody through training, because we have to keep enough people on the street to help handle calls or to provide the service that people expect that they're paying for, but we also have to get people through training, and it guts us pretty hard sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
I can imagine. Now, one topic that you touched on a little bit, I definitely want to dig into more, because we, our kiddos are in the schools, and we have our school resource officers. I know I did an episode with Lieutenant Aiken, and that was a great episode. I encourage you to go, listen to that or watch it, because it was great to learn about the inside and out of a school resource officer. But can you talk a little bit about the importance of that and how long that has been implemented?
So we've had the school resource officer program ever since I came here 28 years ago. Mm-hmm. And we were one of the first ones around that was actually doing it. I think we got it on some grant money. I remember there was, I think, 2 SROs at the time. I think we have 16 now. We have one in every school. We have a couple in the high school. We have a roving weapons detection canine and whatnot. But yeah, it used to be, and I think I've mentioned this, and if I haven't, or if I have, I apologize, but the position used to be kind of a place you just go and finish your career. And it can't be like that. We have to have the best and the brightest in the schools, because literally they are mentoring these young kids and these young people, their fathers, mothers, aunts, uncles, they're chaplains, they're go-to, they're father figures and mother figures, and they go to them and they'll talk to these officers, and they have a unique trust and bond with them, and also the police officers with the teachers and administrators too. But it's pretty cool, because these kids will grow up and come back and they'll remember their SRO.
They will, yeah.
It's pretty cool. I got to tell you, it wasn't like that when I was coming up in school. The cop was there to make sure you didn't cut school, and you ran away from them and all these other things. But the cops that are embedded in these schools really do get to watch these kids grow intellectually, socially.
Yeah, for sure. And it's encourage. I encourage you guys to go watch and listen to that episode for more detail on our school resource officers. It's fantastic. The what they do for our kiddos, but also the training that they go through, and going into more detail about that. So go ahead and check that out. I'll have that linked in the bio. So Chief, talking about, we talked about the past or like 2024 as a whole, but we have a couple months left of 2024. We got 2025, and a ton of things are happening at the Somerville Police Department. So what are some things that is going on, and what the community and us can look forward to for the future? Yeah,
so, we're very progressive thinkers within our organization. We're not people who sit by idle, and we're not stale. Despite our years in service, we're always trying to get the latest and greatest equipment and technology and investigative techniques taught to our officers, put those tools in their hands.
Yep.
The best equipment money can buy in the way of vehicles and equipment, weapons and defensive tools, training. But the biggest thing that's happened this year in the way of growth within the police department is there's been a lot of talk over the years about a new police headquarters. Our building was built in 1989. It was built for a fraction of the people who work out of that facility right now. And town council has really stepped up, both the previous and the current. Mm-hmm. And for the first time, the talk isn't just talk. I'm actually seeing action. We're seeing action as a town. We have made great strides with Frank Neal, and obviously he's the project manager for our new facility, which would encompass the police department, the courthouse, and a new fire headquarters, sitting on the existing land where we sit right now at 300 West 2nd North Street. And it is an expensive project, very expensive, but it's something that's supposed to last us for the next 30 years.
But also needed.
It's needed. We literally have about 150 some odd employees that we're working out of about 15,000 square feet. We use the holdover at the annex, which is on Cedar Street right here now, but about another 30 personnel over there. But between the two, it's less than 30,000 square feet that we're operating out of with that many employees 24/7. And so this is needed, but we're actually in the phase where they've already got architects and engineers. We've already have a design phase. We're meeting with the architects every 2 weeks, every department head from police, fire, and the court. And I am basically helping plan along with the help of my input from my officers who work with us. We're planning for what this organization, this building is going to look like for the next 30 to 40 years with room for expansion and growth on that property if need be. But it's going to be second to none, state of the art. Nobody will have anything else like it once it's done, but it's going to take some work. We're going to need to get some money, some federal monies through grant, some state money from grants. So really, our legislators, I know that they get picked from a lot. Everybody goes to them and wants. But when you're talking about public safety, it's the hallmark of government is protecting people.
Yeah.
So we've got to make sure that we get this right. We don't look the part when you go in our building. You don't realize the level. I mean, you see the level of service we provide on the street and the way we look on the street and how professional we are. But then you walk in our building and you're like, wow. how are they working out of this? But we've done our best what we have. Ceilings leaking, air conditioners breaking twice this year. Just everything you can think of, and you just can't put enough Band-Aids on a cut. And at some point, we've got to move on, and that's where we are. And I'm excited about that because that growth is going to take us, the next few years to get that project hopefully completed. But at the end, it's going to be something that our police, fire, and court staff, the dispatchers can really, really just be proud of. And then on top of that, the public, you're just going to be like, man, that is awesome. It's beautiful. And so, and you're going to be even more proud of the police and fire service that we provide here. So
I love that. So how important is it for you that, council, mayor, Mr. Slatton, everyone is extremely behind this and pushing it and make like from your personal opinion, what does that mean to you?
It means a lot to me because, I think, as police officers, we're very pessimistic. We see so much bad and so much negativity, and you got to think about a profession where pretty much almost everybody at some point is lying to you. And so when we are being told things, it's one thing to be told one thing and promised one thing and it never happened, or it's just you kicking the can down the road, for lack of a better term. We're seeing action, not inaction. And I think that's important. It's important for our employees because it is a morale booster for our employees to see the progress that we're making. But if we halt that progress or we don't communicate that progress through transparency with our employees, both police and fire throughout the town, then we could have a more serious morale issue than need be. So I think they're seeing the proof is in the pudding, and I think Mr. Slatton is taking over at a really good time. I think Lisa Wallace did a tremendous job in her tenure here, but I'm just excited about who he is and what he's going to bring to the table.
For sure.
And I think it's a breath of fresh air to have him come in. So
for sure. And so, speaking on that, there's other things that y'all are looking forward to, and when it comes to the end of this year, next year, and the future of Somerville Police Department, and you talk about some more equipment and anything like that. What else can can you give us any more nuggets of what we can look forward to?
Yeah, some things that we've accomplished this year I think are important, and every year we have a state of the department address where I meet with the entire police department over 2 days, 2 meetings, and basically we talk about goals that we want, that we did not accomplish or we accomplished during the year from the previous year. We goal set for the upcoming year, and we provide an opportunity and a forum for the police officers and civilian employees and dispatchers to actually speak to me in front of the group if they'd like to, and ask the really hard questions, which I love. I love having that full transparency. And I want to hear the ugly things, because if you're not saying them to me, they're saying them behind my back, and I'm not getting anything done. It's counterproductive.
It's not how you lead.
I don't lead that way. I just don't. I am. What you see is what you get, and you either like it or hate it. But you're always going to know where you stand with me. And so this year, 3 years ago, we stood up the crisis intervention team through American Rescue Plan money. We were the first agency to do that around the area. We've become a pilot for many other agencies around the state and even the country. And we were losing the funding starting the federal fiscal year, October 1st. And we were very blessed. Our grant writer was able to get a grant, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, telling us that we'll be able to continue that program here in South Carolina with grant funding. So we're excited about that.
That's awesome.
We did lose the embedded clinician because it didn't fund that position and they didn't have the money to fund it. We're hoping that some grant money will come available for Department of Health to be able to rejoin our team. But we have 2 officers that will continue to service people that are in crisis, mental crisis.
That's awesome.
And so we, just looking at this right here, make sure we, one of the things we hired a drug recognition expert. We used to have 3, and basically what they do is they're not drug cops. They basically are highly trained. It takes about 2 years to earn the certification, but they can tell what type of impairment you have while you're operating a motor vehicle. A lot of people just assume it's alcohol. Obviously, it could be drugs, but they can actually tell through their training what type of drug you are on. So, for example, like you get stopped by any police officer in Somerville and you blow all zeros, they can be brought in and they can evaluate that person and determine what types of drugs that's making them impaired. So we were able to onboard one of those experts, which is amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we've done a lot of great things. Our motorcycle unit has received national honors both here in state and around the country with our motorcycle competitions that they compete in, which is it's just amazing to watch those guys on those bikes. They are great riders. They're magicians almost, just to be able to lean and do the things they do on those bikes.
It's really fun to watch.
It is fun to watch. It's not if you. It's a little scary sometimes, but they're great riders.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
I couldn't do it.
our street intelligence unit, they won one of their members won Criminal Interdiction Officer of the Year, street level for the country.
Oh wow!
It's the second year in a row we've had recognition there, and we've had Team of the Year prior years. Our Team 6, which is our hospitality team, they are incredible. They're the face of our agency. Obviously, you'll see them usually walking in a pack or in packs.
Yep.
But they're around the box stores, around the coffee shops, obviously taking care of the big box stores, but also the mom and pop stores around Hudson Square and Oak Brook and whatnot. And they a lot of the quality of life issues, homelessness, which is obviously a huge problem here, and another topic that we can go into. But obviously, we on two different occasions this year we've teamed up with Fort Moore down in Georgia, the U.S. Army base there, and we brought in international military police leaders from around the world. So we've had 20 countries that have come in from as far away.
How cool
it is, and they get a full immersion of American law enforcement. They're bused here
through Somerville.
They come here for a day. They actually get spoken to. We greet them. The town administrator and/or the mayor will greet them, and then we talk to them and show them how our structure of our organization is. Then we take them out for a canine and a motorcycle and SWAT demonstration, and they've loved it. When you can have the different groups in the same room that when you read the news or watch the news, they're not friends, and they're literally in the same room. That's pretty cool.
It is cool. It is cool. So, Chief, I got one final topic before we go our separate ways, and that's the topic of transparency. You're huge on transparency. We touched on it a little bit, but why is it so important for you to be, to lead with transparency? Because in my profession, and from my experience, the Somerville Police Department, I think the town as a whole, but the Somerville Police Department is probably one of the most transparent police departments I have seen in my profession, in my career, and that's unbiased. So what does that mean to you? The transparency aspect, and why do you lead with that? I mean, there's an obvious answer to it, but I want to kind of dig deep on it.
I always disliked coming up through the ranks when I found out things that were happening within my organization from reading the paper. I found out one year I was getting a raise
through paper,
through the Journal Scene. I was on night shift and I read it, and that was the real paper. It wasn't online. That was great. Man, we're getting a raise. But wait a minute. We weren't told about this yet. Things like that have always bothered me. I feel that and I'm not casting shade on any organization, but I just feel like we have an obligation to always be upfront with the public, even when it's ugly. And I've stood up there when it's ugly and told you it was ugly. But I think that if you don't do that, the public's going to create their own narrative. And with Google and Siri and Alexa, they can create their own narrative pretty quickly. Now with AI, they can just go look up the answers and they'll come up with the answer that they want, that they think is the right answer or the right narrative. And so I think getting out in front of that's important. Tactical timing is important for getting messaging out to the public. There's obviously a lot of things we can't discuss or tell, but there are things we can and we should discuss. So going from being, and you got to remember too, when my prior chiefs of being here, we didn't have social media. we didn't have, the ability to literally live stream uplink. I mean, the news happened and you'd find out about it a week later in the police blotter. Now in real time, you could YouTube something, you could live stream it on Facebook or FaceTime or
real time,
anything. And so we've got to be very fast in how we and responsible how we put information out. But literally, I received an email from a citizen who was very angry, and I get a lot of great email from citizens that are happy and angry.
Yeah.
But I try to mitigate those. I'm very upfront with them, and I'm very blunt. I'm never going to sugarcoat the truth.
And people respect that too.
I don't know.
I would like to think so, because some people want to have feel good news, but I think at the end of the day, human nature, knowing that you're talking to someone who's being real with you, especially in 2024, where it just doesn't seem like a lot of people do that anymore.
Well, I think it's important. One email, and clearly they were angry, but they were also concerned. And they were concerned about the safety in their area. There had been some incidents that happened in and around the area, but there was also a lot of lack of understanding of just, I'm not going to use the word ignorance, but just they didn't know. And what you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
When I'm able to pull facts and provide facts and proof, or say, you know what, you're right. We should have done this better. We'll do better. In the interim, why don't you come in and meet with me? I had someone last week in my office that was at their wits' end. They've been through the town, they've been through code enforcement, they've been through building, everybody within the town government up to the mayor and council members, and they were not getting, even the police department, they weren't getting the answers that they wanted. And it's because the answer that they wanted couldn't be given.
Yeah.
So I brought this person in who was very upset, rightfully so. This had been going on for many months. It was a civil issue. But once I sat them down and I just told them, this is the law. This is what we can and can't do. This is what you can do and you can't do. This is what the person you're complaining about can do and can't do. And it was just utter, you could see just how the weight was taken off their shoulders. That they literally had somebody just tell them everything they needed to hear. It wasn't by email. We had the emotional intelligence there of looking at each other across the table.
It's impactful.
It was. And then, and I even had some people tell me, you shouldn't meet with that person. And then I received a really nice card from that person yesterday thanking me for meeting with them.
That's so sweet.
So
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't always get the cards. I get hate mail too, but at the end of the day,
it's part of the role.
It is. But at the end of the day, man, our officers live and die by that same ethos that I have. Is we're always going to tell you. You may not like it. We're gonna tell you respectfully. But the transparency is huge. Having the Dignity Project, teamed up with us for the past 4 or 5 years has been amazing. We're conducting community forums, allowing the community to come and talk to us and ask us tough questions. And a lot of it's just people need to know that we're police officers, but we're human beings. We have families. We go home to our kids and our wives and husbands, and we have the same problems, financial problems that a lot of you have. We're in school, so we're working and going to school and parenting. We're getting our kids ready for school and having to rush around to get just all the same stuff you deal with, we deal with. Mm-hmm. But then we take a lot of the baggage home that we see. And talk about critical incidents, not to get off of transparency. I think we've spoken really well on it, but I just figured it'd be nice to finish up talking about this is, people talk about critical incidents, and a critical incident could be something that could change you mentally for the rest of your life. That could be watching or witnessing the death of some person, or a heinous crime that is taking place that maybe you're investigating, whether it be a brutal rape or a crime against an innocent child. It could be a murder, any number of those things. And they say that a person may see one of those in their lifetime. Law enforcement officers will see upwards between 750 to 800 plus incidents like that in their career if they spend an entire career. And when you do that and you put all that in perspective, one incident could destroy a person and their psyche and their mental wellness. When you have that many incidents of they pile on top of one another. So I say that because out of respect for my brothers and sisters that wear blue, but also our firemen and our EMS, they witness a lot of the same stuff. And we are different. It takes a different person, and this profession will change you, both for the good or the bad, and or both. But I say all that because you have the best of the business working here. We're very proactive in mental wellness with our police officers, conducting critical incident debriefs, sending officers to EAP when they come voluntarily, or we send them mandatorily because we see things in them that we know and recognize that we need to help them. But having that proactive approach is what makes us have better employees, because we know that they're ready and they've got what they need in their toolbox to help them mitigate and get through these circumstances. So with all that being said, man, we have a great operation over here. To my police officers, if you're listening to this, and if you are, you're really bored. But I love you. Your command staff loves you. We appreciate you. There's nothing we wouldn't do for you. We are working hard with our town government, Mr. Sladden, and also the council members to get you up beyond where we need to be. And I know it's going to be an uphill battle, but we're going to continue to fight it. And as are many other agencies around here. Like I said, we have a culture here that's really special. And, there's not a place you can't go where the people don't know who Team 6 are, who the hospitality officers are, because they're in their businesses in and out every day. And it's really cool that we have that. And then our night shift officers who protect our town at night. While you're sleeping, it takes a special person to be able to go out there and do what they do. And then start people who are out there running calls. They're missing their lunches. Literally, they're so busy that they're holding their pee and they're missing their lunches because they're so busy. But that's what they signed up to do. Again, it takes a special person to do that.
Well, Chief, I don't know a better way to end it than that. But before we go our separate way, anything else you would like to share?
No, man, we just have a great town, and I just appreciate the support. Again, I say this all the time, and I always end with, if you see one of our police officers, please thank them. You have no idea what it means to them when they hear that, because literally they could be on a call where they're being cussed out or spat at, and degraded and called names, and then you're walking into a store to use the restroom, and someone holds the door for you and says thank you for your service. It makes a big difference in our lives, and we appreciate that. I
love that. Well, thank you, Chief. And before we go our separate way, I just got to know what you ordered on your coffee.
This one's different.
Different.
So, yeah.
All right. He wanted to be unique, because usually you get your Dunkin'.
Well, Dunkin'. I do my Dunkin' every day, but yeah, I was coming in this morning at Cafe La Flor down here, I think it's called.
The Cafe de la Flor?
Yeah.
I think so.
And I grabbed, this
right
is
Town Hall.
Caramel apple cold brew.
Okay, Chief.
So, I've been kind of sipping on it here.
Is it good?
It is good. It is good. But we go to Capamana. We go to Coastal. We always try to.
The new bakery here.
The Italian bakery is
top notch. Gotta go check that out. All our coffee shops are awesome. It is
so good, man. It's on the corner here on Way Central, but their bakery is good, and they have good coffee too. Yeah. They have French roast. They bring in their coffee. But yeah, they're great. And obviously you have your box store coffee places too. But coffee's coffee. You got to have it, and it's got a cup of Joe. But yeah, this one's from downstairs. I got this one as I was coming in.
I love it. Well, Chief, thank you so much for taking the time to meet today. It's been over, like we said at the beginning, it's been over a year since you've been on, and I definitely wanted to bring you back on and keep bringing you back on just to update our community in a more informal way, because when they see your face, it's more informal ways, right? And I think you and I can have conversations that are less formal and just a little bit, more digestible in a sense sometimes. But that said, with the stuff that we talked about today, we'll have links in our bio for you to check it out, and definitely go check out their website and their social medias where they post all the things that they're up to, whether it's their training, the motorcycle stuff is on there. They have a police blotter that they post twice a day, right, morning and afternoon.
Yeah, we had people that, and I'll just say this: we started doing that, and my deputy chief came to me and he says he's been talking about it for a couple of years. I want to do a police blotter, and I said, if you do it, you got to keep up with it because these people will eat you alive if you don't, and they do. But basically, we did that because I think people thought we had nothing better to do than to pick on kids. So we wanted to show for full transparency how busy we really are, and that's not even a tip of the iceberg. We just put what we call notable calls for service that happen. But I think a lot of people get scared at first, like, oh my God, this is going on in our town. This scares me. I said, well, this has been going on for years. We just never told you.
Yeah, and I think the community, just from another sake of transparency, you should be thankful because if other cities and towns did police blotters like we do, I think you'd even be more scared. I'm just going to put that out there. But that said, Chief, thank you so much.
Thanks
for
a lot, man. Appreciate
today.
you.
Enjoy your coffee. And then, thank you guys so much. And until next time, thank you.